Well, Francis and Cathy, thank you very much for that welcome. I must say it's probably a good thing that you're facing this direction, because otherwise you'd all be distracted by the sight of the ships on the Lagan, as opposed to just me being distracted by it. But it's a great pleasure to be here, and thank you very much to Grafton for your hospitality, and to the Chamber and her team for organising this meeting and the opportunity to be here. Alliance wants to deliver a revolution in Northern Ireland. Not exactly what you'd expect the Liberal leader of a cross-community party to say to a predominantly business group. So let me say it again and get it right. Alliance wants to deliver an economic revolution in Northern Ireland. As a party, we're not afraid to stand out from the crowd, to take the hard decisions that will lead to real change in Northern Ireland. We stand by our principles. We talk openly and honestly about the changes that need to occur to make Northern Ireland a better place for everyone. And as much as we'd like to engage in some of the populist giveaways that some other parties are announcing, this is not the economic reality in which we live. We've been honest with the electorate, and we will be honest with you as representatives of the business community. Our public spending is under severe pressure. Our health service is facing a £1 billion shortfall. Unemployment is continuing to rise. There are growing demands for social housing. These are cost pressures that aren't going to go away in the short term. Our most urgent and most central need, however, is to invest in private sector growth. This was stated to be the Executive's priority 4 years ago in the first programme for government, but that was not where the spending went. While all 5 parties are agreed that a reduction in corporation tax is necessary, not all agree on the other actions needed to make the vital changes to our economy. Alliance believes that we must address skills shortages and tackle the cost of division if we're to maximise the benefits of reducing corporation tax. We also need to be realistic about raising public finance. A reduction in corporation tax would best and most quickly facilitate a step change in the local economy. This would attract high value-added companies to Northern Ireland and also shift the pressure on successful Indigenous businesses from managing costs to maximising profits. As you're aware, a reduction in corporation tax will come with an estimated cost to the bloc of around £250 million a year. And there are detailed questions to be considered about phasing into that process to maximise the benefits. Secondly, there's also a clear need to invest to address skills shortages and to raise skills levels. And that's an issue I'll return to later in the speech. Alliance remains committed to our deeply held belief that addressing the cost of division and tackling segregation is absolutely essential to the creation of a strong, resilient and prosperous society. We successfully secured recognition of that in this year's budget. We'll continue to push to ensure that every department within the Executive examines the level of duplication within its service provision and puts in place steps to address it. Alliance has also raised the issue of water charging and the need to take the hard decisions in raising additional revenue for capital investment. This is inescapable if the Executive is to continue to invest for the future and redirect revenue towards achieving economic transformation. We've seen last December, and indeed on the 2 previous summers, what happens if you don't invest in water and sewage services. We've called for an end to populist approaches to policy development. We've provided leadership in the development of policies that will make a sustained impact on the issues facing individuals and business, such, for example, as an investment in the Green New Deal. As a minister, while the Department of Justice is not an economic department, I'm committed to ensuring that my department provides the best return on the funding it receives. I've sought to address low productivity and higher spends that are not justified when benchmarked against adjacent jurisdictions. I've stuck to my plans to bring legal aid under control and to reform the prison system, both issues that were ignored for years. I've ensured that funding is provided for priority services, whether or not they're provided in-house. When an Alliance Minister determines that change is necessary, then change will happen. By now you'll be aware that the Alliance is committed to change, to leading change. When we apply this to the economy, we do mean a revolution, not tinkering about the edges, not protecting the status quo, not relying on other regions to develop markets that we can then follow, not strategizing or hypothesizing, but action. We want Northern Ireland to be a leader, not a follower in the business world. So what do we mean by this change? We mean change that will result in the growth of the private sector, generating wealth and increasing employment opportunities for all the members of our society. We mean the strengthening of our economy through the development of a strong export-focused private sector with companies that compete on an international stage. We believe our society should be one in which entrepreneurship and risk must be supported and rewarded. Our resources should be sustainably managed and exploited, and all members of our society should have access to training and employment opportunities that allow them to reach their full potential. Alliance believes that Northern Ireland has the resources to emerge from this period of austerity stronger and more competitive. There are clear opportunities to grow our economy, building on some of our advantages, whether via the green economy, the agri-food business, our creative industries, high-tech manufacturing, or ICT. Our approach to achieving this change requires a renewed focus across government and the private sector. It's vital that government provides leadership, facilitates investment, and builds upon the competitiveness of local business and encouraging growth. It is a prime necessity that the executive rationalises its own operations and reduces the number of departments from 12 to 8, and then rationalises the way it interfaces with business. We believe that we need to develop a department for the economy, which would incorporate the functions of DETI and many from Dell, and also some aspects of DARD. This would better promote the needs of business and address the barriers to economic growth that we currently experience. Regardless of the size and structure of government, departments need to cooperate to achieve key strategic objectives. We've highlighted the need for legislation to place a duty to cooperate on our departments, and will work for its introduction in the new Assembly. It is simply unacceptable in this day and age that a silo mentality to policy development should continue to operate, yet sadly that is what we have in many instances. We believe that the executive, as well as our MPs at Westminster, should also work to address the impact that a lack of access to finance is having on business growth. Alliance is committed to applying pressure to Northern Ireland's banks to increase the flow of credit to SMEs. There is absolutely no doubt that for many SMEs, difficulties with banking have added to the problems which they otherwise have. We also believe that the executive can be more innovative in its approach to financing local business. For example, it should examine European funding opportunities to support local business, as well as support the growth of a local venture capital market. I believe that robust economic action is required. We see across Europe, indeed across the world, that successful regions have a clear strategy based on rigorous and ongoing diagnosis of existing strengths. Northern Ireland needs to follow this best practice. Our region is already behind in the development of such a strategy. Alliance is committed to ensuring that a strategy is in place by the end of this year. This strategy must both inform our approach to inward investment and ensure that efforts to grow our Indigenous business sector are maintained. And I suppose what we've just heard in terms of the outlining of Grafton's operation is a clear example of the kind of work which can be done, which needs to be done to build from a local market into international trading. Such a strategy must provide a roadmap that sets out how the executive will maximise investment in the key economic drivers of skills, of infrastructure, of research and development, of enterprise, and of energy. Of these, we believe that investment in skills is the most critical driver for the local economy, and one where action has not been taken in recent years. The need to invest and redesign our skills and training infrastructure is now an immediate imperative. Lack of investment and a failure to ensure that the skills and training infrastructure is fit for purpose have impacted negatively on the competitiveness of our economy. Currently, too many people in this society have low or no qualifications. Too few people are available to work. We have poor levels of labour productivity, and too many of our young people leave education unable to find employment that utilises their training to the full. Alliance will ensure that the money invested in skills and training provides the necessary support which will grow the economy and provide a positive outcome for our current and future workforce. We're committed to transforming our skills and training landscape. Addressing the unacceptable deficit in basic literacy and numeracy skills and the lack of employability skills demonstrated by college leavers and by graduates is of vital importance. I believe that all university students should be offered the opportunity for work experience over the life of their degree. Too often, opportunities for such placements are restricted to vocationally orientated subject areas. Ongoing investment in our management and leadership skills is also required, indeed utterly essential for the future. It is vital that funding supports a skills infrastructure that reflects employers' needs and supports the future growth of the economy. We believe that the following 4 steps must be taken to achieve this. First of all, there needs to be a simplification of the advisory landscape. Secondly, a clear point of entry for employers seeking to train and upskill their workforce. Thirdly, the provision of learning methods that are flexible and responsive. And fourthly, support for training and qualifications that match employers' needs and provide real value for money. It is also necessary to raise awareness amongst individuals and employers about the importance of education and training. Currently, workers here receive less training while in employment than in any other region of the UK. That is no way to ensure that we get the necessary skills which enable the economy to adapt and change to changing circumstances. Central to this will be the consideration of the most cost-effective approach to incentivising investment, whether through tax credits, through direct grants, or subsidised training. Given the predominance of the small and medium-sized businesses in Northern Ireland, we believe that the development of employer networks to plan and purchase training is a viable way forward. Networks can provide a number of benefits to members, including the development of a critical level of demand, increasing the availability of training, and reducing the unit cost. And that is clearly one area which the business organisations could promote in terms of bringing companies together in such a way. Informed and impartial careers advice is also required. Appropriate advice and guidance should be provided that reflects the needs of specific users and is informed by current and future job opportunities. I certainly hear too many stories of the kind of careers advice which is given to young people, which is not informed by the current and future opportunities. Alliance believes that Dell should seek to maximise the resources available by developing an innovative and flexible approach to careers delivery. It is essential that our colleges and universities are funded and structured in such a way that allows them to react quickly to the needs of business and individuals. By this we mean the provision of learning methods that are flexible and responsive, such as part-time, modularised or online, and are delivered on a demand-led basis. That is what Alliance is committed to delivering. And now it is once again time for me to be honest, perhaps blunt, back to you as business representatives. If we as politicians make these changes, then I believe business must also deliver. We need a commitment from business leaders that you will continue to invest in skills training, that you will work with our schools, our colleges and our universities to provide work experience opportunities and shape delivery, that you will provide apprenticeships and internship opportunities, and that you will act in a socially responsible way to provide access to employment opportunities for individuals who've been outside the workforce. Personally, I am very impressed by the joined-up working that the business sector has demonstrated recently. You've worked together to influence government and to provide the executive with clear plans and priorities for economic growth. The publication of the Jobs Plan and the cross-sectoral commitment and drive behind the Green New Deal are 2 notable examples. And indeed, I don't think we would have seen anything like the unanimity around the reduction of corporation tax across the political spectrum if it hadn't been for the good work done by business organisations coming together in that area. As a party, we're also committed to ensuring that this investment and drive is reflected in the executive. Our executive has to work harder and smarter, but in the economic circumstances we live in, it also must work faster. Now is the time for revolution. The Alliance approach is not about developing ideas and policy. It's not about strategizing and consulting. It is about delivery. Alliance is committed to delivering that economic revolution because the window of opportunity is closing. Many of you will have heard the comments by Declan Kelly, the US economic envoy, where he pointed out the limited timescale which is available for Northern Ireland to build on the opportunities presented by the peace process to develop our economy. I fear that the executive has failed to take the opportunities it's had. The executive had 4 years, and so far it has simply failed to deliver on the economic growth required. Every party says it believes that we need a step change, but all parties must now step up and commit to that action. Alliance believes that the new executive must develop a roadmap for economic growth as a matter of urgency. This must be in place before the summer recess to allow all ministers to work together to achieve and to deliver for the people of Northern Ireland. We've developed a 5-point plan that we believe should form the basis of that roadmap, and we believe that the executive must commit to delivering this within 12 months. The 5 key priorities are a commitment to identify and address the costs of division, which we already know are in excess of £1 billion a year to this economy. Corporation tax reduction fully negotiated with the Treasury and legislation passed through Westminster. Allocation of greater funding support for the Green New Deal to maximise those opportunities. Development of a more responsive system of skills delivery and more finance options for high-growth small business. Supporting this 5-step plan is the need for departments and ministers to cooperate in a strategic way to address the underlying problems in our economy and to realise the opportunities which are now opening up. A commitment to a 12-month time-bound action plan would allow you as business leaders to measure the success of government. It would allow you to hold Northern Ireland political leaders to account. I can assure you that alliance will not be found wanting. Thank you very much.